Love hurts. I don't think there's anything you can do to stop it. I think it's just a natural risk that comes with love, especially loving somebody, loving another person. You just naturally are risking hurt or getting hurt. You're risking pain. You're giving your everything to somebody. You're being vulnerable, opening up to somebody. It just naturally comes with a risk of getting hurt. It's a lot easier for somebody to hurt you if they know everything about you or know a lot about you. So if they're trying to hurt you, just makes it even easier. They know what's gonna make you tick. They know what gets to you, what gets under your skin. And I don't think people should be that way, but I know, you can't really control people, and you can't really control the people you love, so you might fall in love with somebody who uses yourself against you in some ways. That's never a fun thing. But you also just risk, like in terms of friendship, you risk just losing that friend. I guess the same is true for relationships. With breakups, you risk losing that person, risk them being gone out of your life. One day you're as close as could be, the next day you're strangers. In general, I think love is risky, it's painful, it's hurtful. It always comes with that associated risk, or not even, I shouldn't say a guarantee because there is no guarantee. Most of the time though, you're gonna get hurt, and it doesn't always mean, like, it doesn't always have to be a breakup that's gonna hurt. It might just be some bad fights. There's always gonna be ups and downs in relationships, but it's just kind of interesting that there seems to always be pain associated with love. Been witness to a lot of toxic relationships, and I've had friends tell me to my face before that they love the pain it brings them. It fuels them to do other things, whether it be their writing or drawing, whatever they want to do in their free time. The pain fuels them to do more, or make better things, whatever. And I mean, even growing up with divorced parents, I suppose they did a good job of keeping it a pretty friendly ending. But there's just always been an association of love and pain. I mean, you think of other things, like for instance, I'm going to use myself as an example here. I love making these videos, and I wouldn't really say it brings me too much pain, but I guess in some broad sense, I sacrifice my sleep schedule to make some of these. Sometimes I stay up way later than I should, and I guess, like I said, it doesn't bring me like actual physical pain, at least not too much that I'm going to complain about. But you love a sport, you push your body to its limits. That's not even risk, that's more of personal choice with a lot of things. Again, same with me in these YouTube videos. There's no reason I have to sit here and stay up way too late to record this. It's something I want to do, something I'm gonna do. But it's something I love, so I'm gonna sacrifice. I'm gonna take the pain for it, because I suppose that's what it boils down to. Less so about pain, more so about sacrifice, I guess. You sacrifice things for what you love, who you love. Even if we go circle back to relationships, you have to sacrifice things you love. And relationships is a lot more broad. There's so many different things that can happen, and so many different things that can just be painful. Breakups are hard. They're not always super easy. Hey, this isn't working out. Both parties agree. Sometimes things hit nuclear, or that's the phrase I always like to use. Sometimes things go nuclear, and it's the end of times. Sometimes it hits you like a bullet. Sometimes you can see it coming from a mile away. That's the risk that you're taking with love, especially like I harp on about over and over, especially loving somebody. It's a risk that you take. I mean, even loving your friends, you risk losing that friend at some point. You never know what might happen. You could eventually just disagree so badly on something, get into a huge fight. Could be parent related. Your parents don't get along, or your parents don't like them. They think they're a bad influence on you, and you need better friends. There's all kinds of different influences that could affect what happens, and can just bring pain to what you love and the people you love. And honestly, it sucks. Really sucks that it kind of feels like it has to be that way, or that it's become that way. Hopefully, it doesn't always have to hurt. Hopefully, love can be kind and love can be joyous. I think a bit of it is a testament to how easy it is to remember the bad things. I had this, I think it's a nice example circling around in my head about in my worst of fights through relationships, I tend to remember all the best things. You know, when things seem to be at their lowest, or maybe it's after a breakup, when things are at their worst, you think back on all the great times. A lot of the time, or at least in my cases, during those great times, it's easy to forget in the moment how blessed or how wonderful it is. And even once again, when you're fighting with somebody, it's easy to just nitpick on all the things that have been bothering you. Maybe you hold on to something and pull it out like a trap card. And I suppose when you're already in a negative mindset, it's a lot easier to keep harping on negative things. Just my luck here, eh? But I guess it's just been interesting to me that how true it is that you really don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. In a lot of cases, you don't realize how good it was when it was gone. Sometimes that can be a little blinding, and you can look back on something and think better of it than the reality of the situation. Sometimes it takes a while to process how horrible things were, how bad things were. Um, for me, that comes more so of like childhood. It took a long time for me to realize, like, oh, that wasn't normal, or that wasn't okay, that wasn't as good of a thing as I thought it was. Like, I talk about my mom a lot and how I love my mom, but how much of well, how little of a mom she kind of was, and how amazing I thought that was at the time, and how I kind of grew to realize it wasn't so amazing. And like I said, I will always love my mom. I guess that's another good example of love hurting, is sometimes it kind of hurts to love my mom because she's not the most healthy person in the world, and she's anything like me. It's where I get my stubbornness from. She does not listen. It's very hard to convince her to change her ways if it's not what she already wants to do. I remember an early story. When I was a little kid, I used to fight with her to open the door by her computer while she was playing her online poker and smoking. I would always argue with her about opening the door. She never wanted to open the door, let the air out stuff, and I never wanted to sit in the cigarette hot box. But I love my mom for who she is, even if it does hurt to see how she takes care of herself, and or I guess how she doesn't take care of herself. I'll always love her for who she is, and I'll always try to help her in the best ways that I can, in whatever ways that I can. As you know, I feel like that's my duty as a child, I guess. I just never really made it a responsibility for me, but as I've gotten older, it just kind of is who I am, what I do. But like I said, she doesn't really listen, so it's not like I can tell her, hey, mom, quit smoking after you've been doing it since you were like 14 years old. She's not gonna listen to me as hard as I've tried when I was younger. As I've gotten older, it's not just not gonna happen. It's not in the cards. I mean, I sure can hope one day, but I think she's had her fair sign of wake up calls and didn't change then. Not gonna change now. Anyways, love hurts. Loving people hurts. It brings you pain. You can do your best to shelter yourself off, but in most cases, you're just going to bring pain to somebody else instead. Really, no matter what, you can't avoid pain in love. I guess, like I said earlier, it's not a guarantee. There are situations, but most times, even in those perfect relationships, those little Disney stories, there's still going to be ups and downs. There's still going to be fights. There's still going to be problems, more than likely. It's, I guess, like I said, no guarantee, but most times you're going to get hurt in one way or another, and hopefully it's the kind of hurt that you can work through and that you can get over together, and it's not like I said earlier, it doesn't always have to be nuclear. It doesn't always have to be a relationship ending kind of pain or a friendship ending kind of pain. Sometimes hurt is just another bump in the road. Oh my, just like that. Just another bump in the road. Sometimes you just move on. Sometimes you just have to get back up and go next. I think every time, no matter what kind of pain you go through, you should always try to learn from it. You should never, I shouldn't say you should never pity yourself. You should always have your own back. Always feel for yourself, whether it's feeling sorry for yourself once in a while. You shouldn't live in that sorrow by any means. You should always try to get back up and just do better the next time. That's not really the best way to put it, because if you feel like you tried your best in a relationship and things didn't work out, it's not really your fault every time. But you should always try to learn something from whatever goes wrong, whatever happens in your life, whatever happens in general. You should always try to take something away from it rather than just, it's obviously it's okay to be upset about it. Obviously, it's gonna hurt. That's what pain is. It hurts. So I can't tell you not to be hurt. I'll never tell you not to feel your hurt. You should always feel your pain. You should always try to process your feelings. But like I keep repeating, you should always try to learn something from it, or the best you can to learn something from it, the best you can to at least take something away from it, and don't just look back on it like, wow, that was great, and now it's over. That sucks. You know, you should try to say, like, well, it was beautiful while it was here. Time wasn't on our side, but that's okay. Whatever the situation may be, things don't always have to be perfect, and you might walk away feeling battered and scarred and drained and emptied, but things will always get better in the end, and you should never shelter yourself off away from love. You should never close yourself away from love. It's truly a beautiful thing. I think I kind of repeated that a lot in my last video, but it's true. Love is a wonderful thing. Even through all the pain, there's a beauty in it. And like I said at the beginning, that's kind of the risk that you're taking with love, is you're risking that pain. There's really no avoiding it. There's no guarantee that it's going to happen. There's no guarantee that you're going to get hurt. And I mean, that's best case scenario. Best case scenario, you walk out unscathed, or you walk together down the aisle type of thing, if you're thinking about relationships still. But it's not always the case, and that's okay. It doesn't always have to go that way. Things don't always have to work out, and sometimes it can end in horrific, terrible ways, but hopefully you can always take something away from it, whether that be, don't date that type of person again. That's a pretty simple lesson to learn. Not to stereotype, I'm not really gonna say of any type of people, because I don't really have any of those kind of experiences. Love whoever you want, but some people are just bad for you. Some people you're just not compatible with, and sometimes you don't realize that until it's a little too late. But it's okay. You should always love. You should always try to love. You should always let love in your life. Don't be afraid. I guess you can be afraid of love. Love can be kind of scary, and this is kind of a cruel joke here, but we'll make a wooden pickaxe again. Love can be scary. Love can be painful, but you really just shouldn't. Do your best to not be afraid. Do your best to not shut yourself away from it. The risk is always worth taking, at least in my personal opinion and personal experiences. You should always take that risk. You should always, I guess, I, I gotta find better ways to word things, because like the more I think about it, when I say you should always take that risk, like, don't go date that dude that everybody is telling you don't date him, or I don't, just whoever, doesn't have to be a guy, but don't date that person that like everybody's telling you don't go out, don't be with him, it's a bad person, whatever, all the signs are against you. But at the same time, in that same breath, make your own choices. Learn from your own experiences. Don't always take everybody's word for it, because I've been that person that nobody likes. To put it nicely, I've been that person that is like, don't go out with him, don't date that guy. He's a loser. He's just gonna drag you down, whatever. And I, I, hey, it is what it is. People are always gonna form their own opinions, so you should always try to make your own experiences. But there's definitely some pretty clear red flags that you should follow, and I think everybody has probably made their own list of personal red flags. So trust in your gut and trust in your heart to the best degree that you can. Nobody knows you better than you. Nobody can tell you how to live your life. I mean, they can try, and sometimes they can. They can be a big influence. They can be huge factors into what you do and how you do it and how you go about things. But do the best you can to just live your life the way that you want to. Take that risk. Love people. Love yourself. Love everything. And I know this video's been really all over the place. I'm exhausted. It's been a good but long weekend. So I'm gonna wrap it up here on this mountain and find my house before the next video. Thank you for watching. It's been a great time. I hope you'll watch some more. And either way, I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. So again, thank you so much. I love you all, and have a good rest of your night.